Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben, and on this, the 27th day of March in the 2024 year of our Lord, I am consuming bourbon. All right, what's up everybody? Good to see you all in the chat already. I was shocked when I came down here to double check my settings and saw the long conversation going on. So let's see who we've got here. Hopefully I don't miss anybody. We've got non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang is in the house. We've got OG Brick is here. Piper John, what's up? I think I saw Beach Sand Bourbon. Yeah, there we go. Beach Sand Bourbon is here. Go subscribe to them. Who else do we have here? We've got, I think I saw Shredward in here. The Bourbon Note is here. All right, cool. So yeah, I think yeah, there's Shredward. What's up? All right, so as you can see, I am missing my cohort here again tonight. Greg was sick for a couple of weeks there, and he's still kind of struggling with the residual, you know, after you've been sick and coughing for a couple of weeks, your throat's just kind of wrecked. So he's just got a really sore throat, so he's not joining us tonight. Maybe he'll be in the chat, but he's not here. So I was kind of teetering because I don't really have a subject to talk about. So I was thinking about maybe doing like a Baptist revival healing thing, you know, like for just $1,700 in super chats, we can heal our ill brother Greg. But I don't know. I don't know if I've got the personality for it. Incidentally, now that I said that, ill brother Greg is going to be his official hip hop name. Myron is in the house. Bourbon Drop, go like, comment, subscribe. Bike riding, Brian Vaughn is here, which is good because I do have some samples. So Brian, I don't know if you saw my message, Shredward. Yeah, I apologize I didn't get a mail call video filmed when you sent these samples in, but I had things kind of torn up because I was working on some projects down here that I can actually share with you guys tonight at some point. But I'm going to save the Nashville barrel samples because we've never had that before to do on a live stream with Greg because I'm sure you didn't send those just for me to do alone. But I may check out a couple of these Elijah Craig blends that you sent in. So we'll check that out, and then there might be a couple of people possibly dropping in. So I did put the word out that if anybody... some friends want to join in. Sugar Kitty is in the house. Where is my... Gosh, I had the whole wrong thing here. So anyway, yeah, let's check out some of this stuff. And then also, maybe since there's enough of you here already, we'll get right into something I wanted to talk about. And I kind of thought about doing a standalone video about this. But I thought tonight might maybe be like a good opportunity to just talk about it on a live stream and actually get some live feedback from you guys. I don't know if any of you guys saw recently Baker Drink's most recent video that they put out. It was kind of in response to, I think Bourbon Pursuit was talking about it on a live stream, and they had Fred Minnick on there. And the general topic was about how the bourbon community tends to kind of recommend and really push these, you know, kind of like our favorite budget bourbons, you know, like the Wild Turkey 101s and the, things like that. And the subject kind of was, why are we pushing these, you know, budget bourbons when there's so many other good ones out there? And Baker Drinks put out a really good video on this, so I would encourage you guys to go check that out. But I want to hear you guys' opinion, because I do have some opinions on the subject, so we'll get into that in just a second. I've got 3 samples here, and I'm not going to drink the full thing, Brian. I will save some of these for Greg to try, but I am going to check out your letter here. So Brian sent in some killer samples, and he also sent in some of his own blends, which is cool. And they're Elijah Craig barrel proof blends, but the idea is Elijah Craig barrel proof, in Brian's opinion, is better at maybe a little bit less proof. but not fully low proof. So he took the Elijah Craig. I'm just going to read what it says here. It says the 3 Elijah Craig blends are either private barrels or barrel proofs blended with the Elijah Craig small batch. I created these blends in December and kept them in mason jars. After 2 months, I think they're very enjoyable. And so I think the idea is that it's the Elijah Craig, in Brian's opinion, is better, maybe not down at the 94 proof that the small batch is, but not quite as high as some of the barrel proofs are. So let's check this out. Elijah Craig Blend Ace Spirits is their 9-year private barrel. It was 131.1, blended down to approximately 116 proof. This is going to be really interesting, actually. So, Brian, thank you for sending these in. I've actually always wanted to kind of try a sample, or try not a sample, but a little experiment and see how to proof down stuff. And Brian says right here he tends to prefer 115 proof, which is a good proof point. Elijah Craig BLO is the Broadway Liquor Minneapolis 3 Amigos pick, 8-year, 131.8, blended down to approximately 110. That is right here. And then the EC BP A123 blended down to approximately 113 proof. So maybe I'll do this. Let's do this, since he's actually got one that's not a pick, because I don't have these 2 picks. Let's get the A123 and do a side-by-side with the blended down version. This should be cool. Please hold. Let's see if I can. We've got wired mics on tonight, so. All right. A123, okay. So the very reason that I drink my Elijah Craig barrel proofs and Larceny barrel proofs so sparingly is just to keep them around for stuff like this, because it is kind of fun to go back a couple of years and compare them to the newer batches, or in this case to compare it to a blend. So let's check it out. All right, so I'm going to do on the right the Elijah Craig blend A123. Save some of that for Greg. Got some water here too. And then after I'm done with this, then I'll get into the topic I brought up. I realize I kind of left you guys hanging on that. Okay. So again, this is the A123 blended down to approximately 113 proof from 125.6. And this was back when it was still 12-year age stated. So let's get into it. I'm going to go in ascending proof here, because I definitely want to give, I've had the A123 obviously, so I want to give Brian's blend a fresh sort of review, I guess. God, that smells good. They do smell very similar. So this is, for anybody who's just joining us, this is the Elijah Craig A123 proof down with Elijah Craig small batch. So not added water, just added a lower proof version of Elijah Craig, which I think is a really interesting way to proof one of these down. Man, these are so good. This is just hitting tonight. At least on the nose. All right, let's go in for the palate. Cheers, Brian. Thank you very much for sending this in. It's fantastic. If they release this as a regular 115 proof, or was it 113? I'd buy a bottle of that for sure. Is it a 50-50 blend? I don't know. Brian, can you put in the... So Bike Riding Brian Vaughn sent me this. So if you could put in what, kind of what the method to your madness was with the blending. I would imagine it's not... I don't... Maybe it is 50-50. I'm not sure. Beach Sand Bourbon, that's a great idea on proofing something down. I totally agree. Oh, it's on the paper. Oh, okay. Oh, it is. I'm sorry. Right here. So the A123 is 3 parts A123 and 2 parts small batch. So Not quite 50-50, but close. Yeah, that's got a great nose, great palate. All right, I'm not doing water in between these since they're going to be fairly similar. Buffalo bourbon enthusiasts, cheers, welcome. Good to see you guys here. All right, let's get into the A123. Weird. Hold on. Shredward says, I have a small batch pick, gonna try this. Yeah, this might be something, Bike Riding Brian Vaughn may have just gifted Whiskey Tube a whole thing, because I got to imagine that Greg and I are gonna outright steal this idea, Brian, and I think, yeah, it's a great idea. So I think we'll probably end up doing a video on this, and maybe we'll challenge some other friends, and we'll get this this idea kind of spread through the Whiskey Tube community. Interestingly enough, I think Brian's onto something here. On just first taste of both of these side by side, I almost feel like the proof down version has more flavor, and I think maybe the reason for that is typically if you're going to proof something down, you're going to add water to it, and that's going to take flavor away. But you proofed it down with other Elijah Craig, so you didn't really take flavor away. It just cut down on the ethanol bite, and so this is a really, really interesting sort of experiment here. Yeah, Brian, you're definitely onto something here. This is really a. Let's see, Your Drinking Buddy channel swears that Benchmark Full Proof with an aging spiral competes with and sometimes beats Stag. Really? I have a fresh, unopened Benchmark Full Proof. I don't think I have any aging spires. We used those up in a previous experiment, but I am definitely going to try that. 100%. Peter White, what's happening? Yeah, Brian, this really cuts down on that. I mean, if you prefer the 115 proof, this is the way to do it versus just watering it down. Because yeah, like I said, you're not really losing flavor. You're just losing some of that bite. And I really do think I might prefer the 115 proof here. Aging Spire, I believe I resemble that remark. Sugar Kitty. So here's another interesting part about this is everybody's complaining when the Elijah Craig barrel proofs kind of get to that lower proof point. I don't know, because they're blending, barrel proof barrels. I mean, they're not watering down any of the barrels, and they're getting that lower proof by blending all these barrels together naturally, and they're not watering it down to get to that proof. And I have liked all the ones that have been at a lower proof, so maybe there is something to be said about the ones that come in at that like 118, 119. I know the most recent one came in at, what was this? 119? Let's give this one a try again. I'm not going to sit here and crush barrel proof bourbon all night, but I am kind of setting myself up because I guess anything I go to after this is going to fall right off a cliff. Let's see how the 119 proof A124 holds up to it. By the way, when I do this, I'm not trying to aerate my bourbon. I've gotten comments about this. I'm like, dude, it's not wine. You don't have to aerate it. I'm just trying to coat the glass in bourbon so when I smell the whiskey, it doesn't smell like the dishwasher. Gandy Road, what's up? I need to get back to adding a drop or two of water after the initial taste. I have questions about that. I will get to that in a second. Interesting. That's the youngest of these, and I'm getting a little more oak on that. I like to roll the glass too. I sometimes like to, you can tip the glass over on your bar top and just roll it like that. I think if you do 1 ounce in the glass, it goes right up to the rim, and it's like a perfect. That's what I learned that on, I think it was Whiskey Tribe. Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Who was it that said, a Buffalo Bourbon Enthusiast, you need to get back to adding a drop or two of water after the initial tastes. So when I first got into whiskey, I always heard about this, like you add a drop or two of water, not to proof it down, but just to open it up, because the water reacts with the oils and the bourbon and the science and the chemistry all happens, and then it opens your whiskey up. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, but does that only work with barrel-proof bourbon that hasn't been exposed to water already after? Because if you take like an Elijah Craig barrel-proof, this is straight from the barrel. There's no water added to it. So if you add water to it, then maybe it would react with the oils and stuff that are in the bourbon. But if you take an already proofed down with water bourbon, how would adding 2 more drops of water, aside from proofing it down a tiny bit, how would that interact with the chemicals in the whiskey and open it up when the whiskey has already been exposed to gallons and gallons of water? So I guess, I'm not calling full BS on it like I do with the neck pour, but I don't know. I've actually thought about taking an already proofed down bourbon, like a 90 proof bourbon, adding 2 drops of water to it, but then replacing 2 drops of that bourbon into the glass so the water doesn't proof it down and change the flavor, and see what happens. My state of mind is young. My number says I'm within 8 years of age. That my paternal grandfather and uncle died. Well, I hope you get more than 8 years. Yeah, they say you're only as old as you feel. I'm 45, but that would put me somewhere in my mid-60s, I guess, if you're only as old as you feel. Adding water is popular with Scotch, and that is a much lower proof. I know, that's weird. Like, Scotch usually comes in, like it's very common for Scotches to come in 80 proof, and I cannot imagine adding water to that. I was eating Cheetos today and found that one looked like a penis and balls. I'm 44, and I thought that was hilarious. Shredward, I'm right there with you. I usually take pictures of stuff like that and send it to my wife. We're both immature degenerates. My wife much worse than me, which is why I married her. Oh, I believe in the neck pour. Bottles change dramatically to me. So I'm not saying that it doesn't change from the neck pour until 2 weeks later when you try it again. I'm saying I don't believe that this much air in the bottle is what's to blame for that. I think it's more, it's been 2 weeks since you had it, maybe you ate something different, maybe you're a little less hydrated, maybe you're whatever, maybe you're not remembering exactly what it tasted like. I think that's more rational explanation than bourbon that's been exposed to air for its entire maturation process, been exposed to air during the vatting, been exposed to air during the filtering, been exposed to air during the bottling, and then you add this much more air to it, and suddenly it's going to change the bourbon. I just don't buy that. And plus, if you do that, then by that rationale, the next time you pour out of that pour is going to taste different, and every single pour of whiskey you ever have is always going to taste different than the last, and none of us can ever say we know what any bourbon tastes like, because every time you take a pour out of a bottle, there's that much more air going into it. I don't know. I put up a short about this, and I got some hate for it, but men in my family either die before 70. This is getting grim. Either die before 75 or make it to 95. So I figure I'll have a decade until I know which way it'll go for me. Hey, you know what? We're all hoping for 95, Piper John. That's possible too. Increase the surface area of air contact. But again, it's not like it's being exposed to air for the first time. Like this whiskey, like when it's in the barrel, there's air in the barrel. Like barrels are not airtight, And then again, they take it out of the barrels and they dump it, they vat it, it sits exposed to air. They pour it through, they chill filter it, or if they pour it through a sieve to take out the barrel chunks and stuff like that. And it's like there's like this much air that you're getting in there. It's been exposed to air for years before that. So I don't know. I just don't buy it. How long before the bottles truly go bad from being open too long? OG Brick, we did an experiment on that. Now, again, I'm not saying that if you leave a whiskey sitting with this much in the bottle for a couple years, and I have some bottles like that actually, but we did that with a couple bottles of Buffalo Trace that were bought at the same time from the same case, presumably probably the same batch. One of them had sat for over a year with this much left, and then one was a fresh bottle pop. And there was, the difference was negligible if at best. It's, it was nothing. We did an entire neck pour video where we did a single barrel. So we did a single barrel and a batch product. So we did the Jack Daniel's 10-year batch 2 that had only had maybe just the 2 pours we actually took out of it for our review of it. And then I got a bottle of that. So then we opened that and did that against the neck pour of the other one that had been open for a couple months. Absolutely no difference whatsoever. There was literally no noticeable difference. Then we did the single barrel Friday at Fred's from Storytime Distillery. My bottle had about that much left in it, and Greg's bottle was brand new, and mine was months old. We opened up, did a side-by-side. I noticed nothing. Greg said, yeah, maybe there's a little something to it. Maybe. But, and again, that was a single barrel. And I think it's more in your head. I think if you were to take and do this experiment, if you can get 2 single barrels, identical single barrels, do the neck pour out of one. Just the neck pour. And then 2 weeks later, open up the second bottle and do them side by side, or do 2 of each and do a 4-way blend. And if you can pick the 2 that are the neck pour, I will eat my hat on camera. That's going to come back to haunt me. Anyway, so these are all really good, but I think Bike Riding Brian Vaughn is definitely onto something here. Let me see if I can catch up on some chats here. Sorry, some wacky old geezer in his 60s started this conversation. Hey, that's what's fun, is starting the conversation. Hey, speaking of conversations, let's add someone to the conversation. You may know him as half of your favorite classroom bourbon show. Please welcome, from Bourbon School, we've got Brian.
What's up, Ben? How's it going?
What's happening, buddy? Good to see you. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. This is a rare empty night for us, so I was able to jump on a little bit.
That's good, because I can only do this by myself for so long.
That's what she said.
Before it starts getting awkward.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny whenever there's any kind of lull, or if we're live streaming and I have to talk by myself, and you've seen it on the Whiskey 6, I'm bourbon, am I right? It's.
Hey, I think you do a fantastic job of moderating the Whiskey 6. Let me get a couple comments here before we get into Buffalo bourbon enthusiasts. I woke up this morning and was going to go to the doctor. He says I woke up this morning and was going to go to the doctor because my penis was orange. Then I remembered I ate Cheetos last night. Hey, the door was open. That's true. Oh, the door was open and you walked right into it, didn't you?
Yep. You put it on the tee for him.
Did Sugar Kitty say in here that it's his birthday?
It's Sugar
Oh, well,
Kitty?
that's awesome. Happy birthday, Sugar Kitty. I suppose I have to blend all 3 of these now, which is going to make a Franken blend of Elijah Craig.
What ones are you drinking?
So, are you familiar with Bike Riding Brian Vaughn?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I know that's biking bourbon, right?
No. So there's non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang and there's bike riding Brian Vaughn.
Okay.
Which I should probably at some point clarify how these 2 people got this nickname for people that don't know, because we're the only channel that refers to them this way. So here it is. This is part of Bourbon Note lore. So a long time ago, maybe like a year ago, year and a half, I don't know. When Dave Vogelsang, non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang, and bike riding Brian Vaughn started kind of commenting in the chat, commenting on videos, we were doing a live stream one night, and one of them, I can't remember which one, Or actually, no, I know it was. It was Dave Vogelsang. And I was like, Dave, are you the one that has the mountain biking channel? Because Brian Vaughn has a YouTube channel that's like he mounts a GoPro to a mountain bike, and he does like, he's from Minnesota as well. And he does like all these cool Minnesota mountain biking trails.
Cool.
It's a cool channel. And so I said, Dave, are you the one? You're the one who does the biking, right? I subscribe to your channel, and it turns out he wasn't. And what it was is I got the V last names, Vogelsang, Vaughn, okay. And so I think the next time Dave commented in one of our videos, he said non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang,
and the rest.
And just ever since then, ever since then it's non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang. Not bike riding Brian Vaughn says he's a retired mountain bike YouTuber. Well, hey, maybe hop out of retirement, because I actually enjoyed your videos. I watched your the one on Rebecca Park. That's only like 10 minutes from my house. So that was cool. I've actually been out there on my mountain bike a couple times, but I just do the very first kind of short one. Noah's 4790. Hey guys, greetings from Monticello, Minnesota. Been to Buffalo many times. Was so cool to see your video when you visited Highway Liquor. That's my go-to score. Well, hey, welcome. Monticello is the next town north, about 10 miles away.
Hey, should I be able to see the chat?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, hold on a second. I have it. We did Whiskey Trivia Night in America.
Oh, right.
On the last one.
And the chat over here.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, how about now?
There we go. Comments.
Okay, yeah, so I shut the chat off for guests so they could participate. So anyway, Brian, now that I've got you here, I had a topic that I was going to bring up. Did you watch Baker Drink's last video?
Was it the one with like the springtime bourbons or whatever? No,
it was... they did a video that was kind of based on a live stream that Bourbon Pursuit did that had Fred Minnick on it. Okay. And they were talking about why does the Whiskey Tube community keep hyping up and recommending all these bottom shelf bourbons that we all kind of love?
Okay. Is it this? That's it's really good price?
Yeah, and so I guess the from what I gathered from the clip they played in their video from Bourbon Pursuit was like, are we doing this just for clicks because people want to hear about budget stuff, or why do we recommend this when there's so much good stuff out there for $20 more a bottle?
Yeah.
When you're recommending someone drinks Old Forester 100 or Wild Turkey 101, when for $20 more they could have something that's exponentially better that. Yeah. Those bottom shelfers taste good, but they don't have the experience. They don't have the depth and the.
Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of that, because I think we, like Lauren and I and my wife too, we are we are in that camp about like finding nice budget bourbons, because we've got nicer stuff back here. I've got a couple of bottles of Stag and the Old Forester barrel strength stuff, but I rarely go to them because I don't want to blow through them, right? So I think the benefit of finding those good pours that are budget is now you have something you don't feel bad if you go through it in a couple of weeks, that bottle's gone and you can easily spend $25 and go get another one, and it's a good pour. I think that is the key, is finding a cheap one that is good. I mean, you could buy Benchmark 8, but you're going to hate it. But if you buy a Wild Turkey 101 or Old Forester Signature, or even like an Evan Williams Bottled in Bond, I mean, you could be pretty happy sipping that. You're not going to feel bad about mixing it if you make a cocktail out of it. So I think that is the draw of it, and I find it to be valuable because a lot of times when those channels will throw out a budget bourbon, I'm going to go check it out probably if I can get it in my area.
I agree 100%. I agree with you on the you don't want to blow through your good bottles. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I like to sit back and treat myself to a nice pour every once in a while. I definitely do that. Sure. I also do like to kind of save those bottles for when I have other whiskey friends over. And so I look at it the same way you do, is, you find a good bottle, a good go-to, Old Forester 100 is a great pour. I love it. Now, it's got, and Troy and Laura kind of touched on this, it's got great flavor. It tastes really good, but it doesn't have the depth and complexity. But I don't always need that. Sometimes, on a Tuesday night, I'm just chilling on the porch, having a drink. It works as a nice placeholder.
Yep, absolutely.
And the other thing is that the reason that I like to do these videos, like when I'm recommending, Elijah Craig Small Batch, Old Forester 100, Wild Turkey 101, Evan Williams 1783. I'm not recommending that to whiskey enthusiasts that are down the road. I'm recommending it to people who are new and that are looking for something that, they can go out. I don't want new people to go out and fall into the trap of, if it's expensive, it must be good.
Oh. No.
And if it's inexpensive, it must be bad. And so what I usually recommend, and this is what I wanted, some of the chat to weigh in on, when I usually recommend those kind of bourbons, it's to beginners because they can go out and spend $25 each on 4 bottles and get 4 different flavor profiles, kind of find out what they like first, and then maybe go out and spend $40-50 on a bottle that is maybe a little closer to that flavor profile. Yes. Do you know what I think could add some value to this conversation? Let's go right to the source. Who we're talking about here from Baker Drinks. We've got Troy in the house.
What's up, Troy?
What's up, Troy?
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. And Troy, from what I understand from what you guys have said on past live streams, you getting your live stream up and running by yourself is kind of a big deal. Am I right? Or have you gotten more comfortable with that?
No,
huge deal. Okay. Good deal. Because so I sent you and Laura that text, and I know you guys have always kind of said that Laura works a little bit later than you. So by the time we go live, you're 2 hours earlier. She's not home, and she's kind of the tech brains behind your operation. So
that is true. For the live streams, I was actually sitting here editing a video. And I had you on, I had my headphones on, so I was editing a video on one side and listening to you on the other, which is kind of a weird effect.
Yeah.
But I heard my name mentioned, so I thought I'd jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons I sent you the text is, and I was going to put in the text, hey, I'm going to be talking about your most recent video because I love the concept of it. I love the video, you guys' your opinions on it. And so I wanted to talk about it at some point. And we're not going to be live for the next couple of weeks, so I figured tonight would be a good time to do it. And before we get too far into it, we do have another contributing voice. Ladies and gentlemen, from the fastest growing YouTube channel, bourbon channel on YouTube, the man behind America's mustache. You know who it is. We have Bad Axe Bobby. Let's bring him in.
What's up, Bobby?
5 axes. Let's go.
Yeah, that's 5. That's Bad Axe, people. 5 axes.
I love it. Hey, before we get any further, Bobby, I just want to say congratulations on hitting the 6,000 subscriber mark. That is amazing. So, yeah, that's just awesome, man. Could not have happened to a better dude.
Cheers, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. It's crazy, man. Crazy. I was close on my birthday. You probably saw that stuff. I was close, like 35 away. So I'm like, it's my birthday. I'm going to ask to see if people will, hey, feel sorry for me and just, subscribe.
Sure, yeah.
Dude, they kept going through like yesterday and a few more today. I'm like, oh, crap, dude. Birthday. I got a birthday every day. Come on. It's St. Patrick's Day. It's Ben's birthday. Give me some subs. Whatever works.
That's awesome. Speaking of people feeling sorry for you, I want to take a moment right now to recommend go check out our Patreon because at some point I have to start justifying this shit to my wife. So we need to start making a turnaround here, folks. So, yeah, go check out the Patreon. There's bonus content there. I haven't informed Greg of tomorrow's video being up yet. But, yeah, you get the videos early. There's some bonus content. There's going to be a new blending video maybe tomorrow or Friday coming out. And before we get even further into this, all my friends are showing up. Although I don't know if this is really him or not. I think someone has hijacked Sean's channel because, okay, here we go. Hold on a second. There we go. The man underneath America's cowboy hat. Please welcome Sean from Mash and Metal and Whiskey Wars. What's up, Sean?
I almost forgot the hat. How could I? Cheers, people.
Yeah, he tried to hop on here with a baseball cap on.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. That's my move, Sean.
Yeah, I was wearing my Remington hat. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry.
Myron, and you've got a Whiskey 6 episode.
That's
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no kidding.
I
Well,
saw him
especially
in the
since
chat.
we have some Baker Drinks action in the house. Just
There you
feels
go.
Oh,
right.
Then it's the real Whiskey 6.
I got a Z-Man special going tonight.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
got the water, huh?
Does that mean we're not
Yeah.
going to talk about the government tonight, Sean?
Not tonight, yeah. I mean, we'll see. The night's young.
What's the starter kit?
Don't get me started, Brian.
Well,
Sorry,
maybe now.
man. I'm getting you guys demonetized right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's all right. There was no chance this video was going to make any money anyway. So I did point out at the beginning of the video that Greg is still a little bit under the weather, and I said that I was going to go full on like Baptist revival healing preacher kind of vibe and say for $1,700 in super chats we can heal our ill brother Greg.
Do some
And I'm
power of Christ compels you kind of action, you know.
Yes, exactly. Nobody has bid on that, so I am dropping it down $17. We can heal our ill brother Greg. And by the way, ill brother Greg is now his official hip hop name. So please send some memes to us, tag us in them.
Hands on the screen, people. Just put your hands.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thoughts
lay
of
your
prayer.
hands on the screen.
So,
Okay, so
Roy, they were what's the name? Gandhi Rhodes said that one of the points, and I apologize, I have not watched the video yet, but one of the points of your video was about like how many of those cheaper bottles do you need to have on your shelf, right? Was that kind of something you were talking about with that?
That was one of the points, sure. So we had some guests on our live stream a few weeks ago. Hello again, whiskey friends, Jeffrey Wack and Darrell and Kelsey, and they do some pretty extensive reviews. And in the past year, they've done almost 300 reviews on different bottles at different price ranges, and they compiled all the data and broke it down by price. And they put out a video where they talked about price versus quality correlation, where they were talking mostly above $50 at plateaus, their scores. So they were kind of showing you don't need to spend a lot of money to get better quality, because about $50 to $100, the average score was like 82. But what I noticed was the lower end, like the under $40, there's a pretty significant quality or score drop off. And so I asked them if I could clip some of their data out of their video. And they were okay with it, and I was just showing that, their score breakdown, that range where those were falling was at the low end of average, on from like $25 to $40. So I was like, why do we keep pushing these bottles on our shows, our videos and whatnot? The 10 best bourbons on the bottom shelf, or the 10 best bourbons under $40, when they just score average at best, low end of average. So I was like,
Doesn't mean they can't be the best of those.
you spend $10 more and you're into that, that above average whiskey range. And, we got some people that agreed with it in our comments. We got some people that were like, you guys are whiskey snobs. So
Well, if because I kind of came into this thing as the poor man's whiskey channel, right?
That's what she
and that was
said.
kind of my whole thing when I started. It kind of always has been. Like I've never, pushed for the elite brands. I mean, and there's a lot of folks, not going to name names, but there's a lot of folks that just don't spend more than 30 on a bottle.
sure.
That's their budget. And so I agree. I think, especially these days, you kind of need to be in a bottle about $40 or more to kind of have a decent experience.
Yeah.
You know, not there isn't decent whiskey below that price point, but as to your point, Troy, I mean, it's certainly there is a drop off. Yeah, there's a drop off in quality, and fairly significantly. I would say. Man, beer burps already. Awesome. Our body's not just like, what is this liquid you're putting in me?
That's
anyway.
what she said.
Giggity. But yeah, I think there's a few brands that are under that $40 price point that are worth having around just for a kind of an occasional budget night. But especially these days, I think it's fewer and fewer that are really truly worth having.
Yeah, and we weren't trying to put down any of those bottles. We had like 20 of them on the table in front of us, so we clearly spent our money on a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And we said multiple times throughout the video, these all taste good.
Mhm.
Where they fall short is they lack complexity. There's no finish, there's no viscosity, there's no mouthfeel. And we pointed all that out, and we're like, if you want just a little bit better experience, rather than buying 3 $20 bottles, buy one $60 bottle. And you'll have less whiskey, but you'll have better whiskey.
Yeah.
So Troy, to touch on that, and this is, I don't know if you heard this, but Brian and I were kind of talking about this before you guys hopped on here. The one area in that where I disagree a little bit is, or not disagree, where I kind of come at this from a different angle. I was telling Brian, like when on our channel, when we recommend like, here's 5 great budget bourbons, I'll recommend like Elijah Craig Small Batch, Woodford Reserve, Maker's 46 maybe, like an Old Forester 100. I'm not when we recommend those, we're not talking to people that are in their whiskey journey that already know what they like, that kind of already have an experience. When we recommend those, we're talking to people that are brand new, and what we're saying to them is, don't go out and spend $60 because you don't know what you're doing yet. Yeah. Instead of spending, an extra $10 to $15, $20 on each one of those bottles, buy 4 bottles. And we tend to recommend bottles that, like, you do a Maker's, a Woodford, or an Old Forester, or an Elijah Craig, and then maybe like an Evan Williams. You're going to get 4 noticeably different flavor profiles when you compare the 2 of those, or the 4 of those. And so the reason we're recommending those is, don't spend a lot of money, but here's where you can spend a little bit of money, find something that's good quality, that's representative of what bourbon tastes like, but it's a couple different profiles. Explore that a little bit, find out what you like, and then go buy that $60 bottle. Like, we're not recommending to you guys or to anybody probably in our chat or whatever, go out and buy the, this or that. And to touch on what you said about, it tastes good, but it lacks complexity. 100% agree. What Brian and I were talking about is, I like to keep that bottle on the shelf for just a random Tuesday night. I'm sitting out on the porch, want to have a quick pour of whiskey. I'm not looking to break it down. I'm just looking to have something that tastes good, that's kind of a cheap placeholder that, and then we can kind of save those better bottles for a night when I'm going to sit down and really appreciate it. Yeah. By the way, cheers to Bourbon Rendezvous and Big Cat. They're in the chat. We also have another guest, and this has come full circle. We do have a de facto episode of Whiskey 6 going on the Bourbon Note tonight. Let's bring Myron in from Bourbon Drop. And Myron, congratulations on 4,000 subscribers. We've got milestones for Bobby and Myron.
Right on, brother.
Cheers. Brother. What's up, guys?
Yeah, good to see you.
Congratulations, Bobby.
You
Same
too,
here.
Right on, man.
So, Myron, do you have anything to add on the topic we've been talking about? Bobby hasn't thrown in his 2 cents either, so maybe we'll get to Bobby and then...
Just real quick, just say hi to Ron, because I haven't seen that guy in forever. Cheers, Ron. Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, Ron, you need to get back to making content.
Dude, you do, man. He commented on a video today, and so I was chatting back and forth with him for a little bit. I'm like, dude, where you been? One of the Texas trip videos I put out, because he's right there. He actually works where I was, and I didn't know it. I'm like, crap, dude, we could have met up.
Yeah, no kidding.
And on the whiskey stuff, I mean, you start getting down below $30. You got like $25 and under range. It's the flavor profiles, like you said, are different. And like Williams and Jim Beams and all that stuff. but they are obviously they're watered down and they're no higher than 90 proof because they're trying to get more of it out there. So you're not going to get this big boom explosion of anything. I'll tell you what, this is like $30. There's a lot of flavor in this right here. This is one of my guilty pleasures right here. It took me a while to find this again. This Pendleton Midnight. I'm really not a fan of Pendleton, but the Pendleton Midnight, man, it's 10 more proof. It's 90 proof, and it's finished in brandy barrels. So it's finished at $30. It's finished, and I get a lot of those flavors. I get like coffee, those coffee nip candies. I get a lot of that on this. I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna do some finished bourbons, something like that, I'll start off with this sucker.
Sure. Myron, do you have any thoughts on that? Did you watch Troy and Laura's most recent video yet?
I didn't see it, but I was listening because I was down here working out, and then I went upstairs and took a shower. But I was listening the whole time, so you guys were with me in the shower, just to let you know.
All right,
that's all I've ever wanted, Myron.
Yeah. Check that off my bucket list.
But no, I did enter in the comments that I just feel like a lot of the new guys, and I understand that they have to make their money back, but a lot of the new guys, man, it seems like they charge. And I'm not one to tell a company what to charge. Charge what you think your product is worth. But we know we're getting consistency, we're getting value, and we're getting just accuracy. I forgot what I said in the comments, but you're getting a lot of things. You're getting value. You're getting consistency when it comes to those legacy, distilleries putting out, the bottom shelf stuff that is good in quality, and I love Wilderness Trail. I had their regular stuff. I had a pick for Wilderness Trail, made me a fan. I recently picked up a pick of Wilderness Trail, and I do not like that bottle. But when you go to something like OGD 114 or OF 100, even OF 86, you just get that consistency and that quality that's just there. It's hard to beat.
Yeah,
that's an interesting point, Myron. The other reason I think that we try to recommend budget bourbons for beginners is also to say, hey, stay away from Jim Beam White Label. Stay away from Jack Daniel's Old Number 7. Those are cocktail mixers. We're recommending these are budget bourbons that taste like bourbon, that are going to give you a bourbon experience, that are available everywhere and less than $30. Yeah. So that's also kind of the point of that, is to kind of tell people like, hey, you don't have to just stick to the Evan Williams Black Label and the Jim Beam White Label, because I feel like there's kind of a disconnect between the different price points, because you have that sub 30, right? And in that sub 30, you've got Woodford Reserve, which is a good bourbon. It may not be overly complex or whatever, but it's good. Like, I'll sip on that, no problem. Elijah Craig Small Batch, I think, is a great example. If I'm going to recommend somebody, like, somebody says to me, hey, what does bourbon taste like? And I don't want to spend a lot of money to taste it. Elijah Craig Small Batch. It's less than 100, a little bit over 90. It's a perfect proof point, But then, so under that $30 price point, you have playing kind of in the same ballpark the Jim Beam White Labels and the Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 and the Elijah Craig Small Batch and the Old Forester 100. And people that are new are not going to know the difference between those two. So I think it's important to kind of point those out. But then you get above 40, and then you start finding craft distilleries that are maybe releasing their bourbons that are way too young. They're using local grains that maybe just don't hit, and they're charging $30, $40, $50 for them, and they drink far less than an Elijah Craig Small Batch or even an Evan Williams 86. And so it's more about kind of like trying to help people kind of avoid some of those traps. You know what I mean? Because once you hit that $40 range, that's when a lot of those craft bourbons actually, that's their starting point. And you can kind of fall into that whole thing of like just getting a terrible craft bourbon. And I like to support, craft distilleries, but let's face it, some of them are just not good,
They're not ready for the big show.
Yeah, I mean, and like to Myron's point, so Wilderness Trail starts at 60. Like, their bottom line is $60. That's their entry point to their line. And honestly, I mean, to each their own. Their weeder is awful. The rye mash bill is good. I think they do a good job with that, and then their actual rye is also really good. But again, those are all three of those are $60 bottles, and that's kind of pricey for somebody new to bourbon. Yeah, so.
And it's you're right. It's a hard sell with the local or the craft distilleries. Like I was at a local one today, and I said, because I went back and forth in comments on TikTok with a TikToker, and she was talking about how she wants like more craft distilleries to have like a little 2-ounce sample or a little like 50 milliliter like that you can buy and try. And I said,
bottle.
Yeah, I said I suspect if they did that, they'd never sell a bottle because most
absolutely.
Of the time, it's grainy, it's young, it's not, and like you said, Ben, I totally understand it, but they won't sell bourbon. And I went today to a local one that's right down the road, and I said to her, I was like, "Hey, do you do like any kind of samples, like smaller bottles so you can sample?" She looked at me like I was crazy, and their bourbon is everything across the board is $65 a bottle. And it's like, wow. It's a hard sell for a local, and I've had it before, and it's fine, but it's got all those things you expect out of a local craft place. It's grainy, it's young, it's all that stuff, and it's so 65 is a hard sell, and it's like they're depending on people who've never had it or are like here on a trip and want to get something local to just snatch one up, and I just don't know how you survive on that market, you know.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's one of the reasons we started this channel. We kind of knew that there are plenty of other, huge channels out there, and we just kind of wanted to join the conversation. But, one of the things that we like to do is kind of put out those videos to try to help people that were, the way we were helped by other channels. Yep. In kind of learning like, hey, here's some good stuff at this price point, here's what to look out for. Everything you just said, Brian, I agree with 100%, and most people that are first getting into whiskey don't realize that. And it's easy to fall into that like, oh, hey, I got this local thing, this is going to be good. It's kind of like the opposite of beer, I've always said. You get the local craft beers, beer enthusiasts really love those, and they're really good. Whiskey is the opposite. You want to go with the people that have been established for a while because whiskey takes time, Yeah,
and
so
they can't wait 4 years to start selling stuff. Like they can't wait 4, 5, 6 years. They've got to start selling stuff right away. So, and if they're not sourcing, then they're putting out young stuff. That's it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Troy. I didn't mean to talk over you.
I was just going to say I have a slightly different opinion on that. I feel like those legacy distillers, the big six, they own the lower shelf, they own the middle shelf, they own the top shelf. There's no room on that shelf for mid-size or craft distilleries, and it's a cutthroat game out there amongst those distributors in that 3-tier system to get those bottles onto those shelves.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have a platform here where, like you said, $60 is a risk if you don't know what you're getting into. Well, if we stop as a whiskey tube community, stop 6 channels on the screen here, all 6 of us are telling people to go buy the same 10 bottles.
Right.
If we stop telling them to go buy those same 10 bottles, and we were like, hey, at this $40 to $60 price range, these are the bottles that are good, and these are the bottles to avoid. Maybe they can go pick those up, and some of those distilleries will find a little bit more space on that shelf next to those legacy distillers. Sure. Honestly, Heaven Hill, Buffalo Trace, Jim Beam, they don't need our help selling those bottles.
Nope.
Well, I mean, so I think, I forget if it was Brian or Ben that said it, but I think there's definitely like levels to this, so and everybody's kind of has to start on level 1 and just figure out what you like, and so I think it's important to, whether you go the sample route like Brian was suggesting or Ron was suggesting in the comments, if you can get 50 mils of stuff, great, do that. But you definitely need to figure out what you like, because if you don't know that, it's very hard to recommend anything to anybody. Yeah. I mean, because if you're a Jim Beam fanboy, then great. I'm glad you are. I'm not, but at least I know what your wheelhouse is. And then I can kind of tell you what else you might like. But if I don't have anything as like a basis, then it's hard to recommend anything. So I think you need to kind of start with those bottom shelfers just to figure out what you enjoy. Yeah. And then once you have that kind of that base level established, then you can start exploring more. But I mean, I think, you know, to your point though, Troy, I don't know that no one should stay there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's where you start, and then branch out from there once you know what you enjoy, and then that's where this community comes in, because once you know what you like in those kind of that bottom tier, then okay, now I know what your palate is, I know what you like, I know what flavor profile you're going for. Now I can say, well, this is kind of like that. Try this. You know, it's a little pricier, and maybe it's a brand you haven't heard of, but at least I know where you're trying to go. So.
Yeah. Sure. I just want to check in with the chat real quick. I love Peter White's comment. The price of Old Elk stuff is a little ambitious. That's a great way to describe some of the pricing on some of these bourbons is ambitious. I would say Garrison Brothers is very ambitious.
Yeah. They're even more ambitious. Yeah.
They are. And I just want to touch on Mike Williams. Welcome to the chat here. He says, "You're all doing wonderful work. Great to have multiple perspectives, especially when new to this journey. The platform you have as a community is incredibly valuable." Oh. Thank you, Mike. That's an incredibly nice compliment, because that's what we were talking about before. Is like we just wanted to, when we started this channel, just to kind of, like I said, join the conversation and maybe add some value as far as, like, you know, new people showing up. And the thing is, like, I know there's other channels before us that have done the same videos. But honestly, like, when I first got into it, you know, I was watching, you know, It's Bourbon Night, Whiskey Vault, you know, Bourbon Junkies, all those channels that are kind of like the OG pioneers of this. But when they've got 200 videos out, and I don't blame them for this, ours is just like this too. Like, you're probably not going to go to their page and scroll back 200 videos to find what are the best budget bourbon, you know. So we just kind of decided, you know, hey, we'll throw out our list on that. Maybe people will find it. And
unless you're looking for ideas for your own videos.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. Bourbon Rendezvous with the super chat. Look at that. Boom. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate that very, very much.
Welcome, Ron.
Anyone smoke a tobacco pipe? Greg and I tried, and we were not terribly successful at it.
So,
it just we
as channels should be, hey, unless you're into this, you're into your journey, don't bother watching, because we're not doing low budget bottles. Is that what we're talking about?
Get after.
I'm kidding.
That's the message.
Peter White's point, this is a very ambitiously priced bottle right here. Man, yeah. Talk about disappointing. That was $110 I wish I didn't spend. I'm getting through it slowly. I've had it like a year. It's very forgettable. It's not bad. It's just
a lot of samples go out in that bottle, Sean.
Yeah, this stomps the crap out of it. Half the price.
You're just mean. You guys are just mean.
Dude, I'm telling you. Oh. Sean, you're on board. I know. Sean is the one that said you got to get it. I'm like,
oh yeah, I'm the one carrying the flag, man. Yeah.
This is your Corbin Cash. I think.
This is the best $60 bottle on the market. I will continue to say it. Yeah.
But it was made in Texas, right?
Yeah, but so here's the magic. And again, I'm going to keep saying this part too. It's MGP that they then send down to Texas to age. So take MGP, a very well put together mash bill, and then send it down to Texas to get some flavor, because in Indiana you can't get any flavor up there; it's too cold. So and then that combination of things makes magic. So MGP or Ross and Squidworth, whatever you guys are now, send all of your whiskey down to Texas, and then it'll taste good.
Send it to Rebecca Creek specifically. My first Texas trip video, go watch it. I went there. Those are great people there. They will bend over backwards for you. They weren't even open, and they gave me a tour.
That's what she said.
Yes, I love it. You did say that. But yeah, cool people. I met the VP and all that. They let me try some different proofs of this. Went back into his office, some different proofs of different Rebecca Creek Spanish oak finishes. Wow. Crazy.
So Buffalo Bourbon, that's Brian, correct?
Brian Fisher.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that, because we were all on a live stream a couple weeks ago, but that was the first time that I had spoken with him. But so I did get that right. So he asked an interesting question. Have you ever been to an event, distillery, or liquor store and tried a sample and loved it, then you buy it and go home and it's trash. I feel like sometimes they pull the bait and switch. Well, Brian, maybe it's the neck pour.
Total Wine does it all the time.
There we go again. I've never had this experience, so I can't talk to it. But
First of all, it looks like the guy's taking a piss, right? He's rocking a
That's
piss.
what I was gonna say. What is
He's
what's
fishing.
happening there?
He's fishing. But this is Springbrook Farm Distillery Adirondack barrel strength Adirondack straight bourbon. And this tasted fantastic at the event we went to. It was like a wine and whiskey festival here.
Was it not your first drink of the night?
It was not my first drink of the night, but we had not indulged too much because there weren't a ton of distilleries, so I didn't have a ton. And this was, I brought it home, and you can see I got this last summer. I have not had much.
Yeah,
it is.
I had some of those.
yeah, looks
Not
like
great.
you're enjoying it there, Brian.
Yeah, look, I've enjoyed it that much.
Adirondack. So is it aged in a chair from a resort at Martha's Vineyard or something?
It's aged in a chair that an old man sat on for hours. It says produced and bottled
So you
by
got the
Springbrook, so I
asphalt.
think this is their own stuff, which kind of goes back to that whole, craft distillery. It's just not. It's not great. That's all I can say.
Hey, look.
Hey,
that's
look,
why it
Ron
tastes like
Tarvin
chicken with
is in
aged
the-
booty cheeks.
That's right.
Aged in booty cheeks. Here we go.
Give me that booty, show me the booty, give me the booty, I want the booty, back up the booty, I need the booty, I like the booty, oh what a booty, shaking that booty.
Hey,
That was just
I've
the
been waiting to
perfect
pull that
reason to
clip
use
out.
that drop. Yeah. I've been sitting on that one for months.
I mean, while I was on my old elk rant, did I hear that Corbin Cash is in hand? Is that what I heard?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
I said that's it.
No, he said that's your Corbin Cash.
That's your Corbin Cash, I think. Rebecca Creek.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Man, that is good. But to Brian's, what Brian was talking about, yeah, you guys saw me open this one the other day. You see how much is out of that? This is not good, people.
Yeah.
And I've had
What is it? I can't see it.
it's an Iron Root Harbinger.
Yeah.
It's a pick.
Okay, I thought it was Iron Root.
It's a pick from Specs, small batch, and I got media samples from them, and it was delicious. So I don't know what's going on with this. I opened it. I might have to have a little bit more.
There's a couple different versions of that Harbinger, Bobby.
Yeah.
I got 6 of them. This
Got
one,
6?
this is not a good one. This one tastes like seaweed. Not good.
Okay.
Hanging AZ says this program has been brought to you by the good people at Booty.
Big old booty bouncing around, boom, boom, boom.
So
I would like to start
Hold
a
on
new
a
company, Booty Cheek Barrel Company. We can age it in booty cheeks. Charred booty,
Booty
cheeks,
Cheek
char number
Barrel
4.
Company. Oh, I will get right to work making a meme on that one for sure. Hanging AZ, I can't remember if I said hi to you or not, but he's been in here. So Sugar City Kitty says Adirondacks are New York mountains, and I get that. I was picturing the Adirondack chairs on the porch of a well-to-do Martha's Vineyard resort. Ron Tarvin is in the house. It's almost like Ron Tarvin should do some sort of a channel.
I think
Almost like he had a channel back in the day and should start it up again.
Yeah, there you go.
Pastor type of thing. To feel like Ron Burgundy. Because I see this Garrison Brothers looking star. It's a cool logo. I like it. And I agree with
Yeah, I like it. Oh, so non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang says that Troy gives his bad whiskey away as samples. Oh, damn.
Shots fired.
Hey,
I'm
spoiled
sorry.
by it, right?
It's so generous.
Hey, I feel like I'm in Vegas when Dave sends samples. I'm like you know how they put the chips in front of you when you win a big pot.
Dude, Dave gives it. I probably got 40 samples from Dave. Dave is
Oh my gosh, man!
all bangers.
I think you're onto
I
something
know.
there, Myron. We should have like a live stream poker event and use Dave Vogelsang samples as our
Oh, yeah.
currency.
Yeah, we're all in.
Oh hell yeah!
We should.
Only
I love
problem
it.
is the winner would spend $100 shipping the damn set.
Do you guys want to know what's funny? So speaking of that, Myron, so we've done like some with Whiskey Trivia Night in America. We used to do if you had a Patreon, whichever channel won, we would send like a little bit of swag to their Patreon, and we would send one of those rocks glasses, a bourbon note rocks glass. Some of you have those, I think. Sean's got one. Bobby's got one, I think, maybe.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, from back in the day, right? So we would send that with a couple of samples and maybe a couple of stickers to whoever, the winner was. What's that?
I have these.
Samples. I just got stickers.
Oh, so you just got the okay, so we should send some rocks glasses out to you. So anyway, they're awesome rocks glasses. They're like my favorite rocks glasses to drink out of because they're formidable. They've got a good heavy base to them and they're awesome. Those things cost me $1 at the dollar store to buy. And they're like the best rocks glasses. Nice. So they cost me $1.
Wow.
Greg puts the logo on them, costs him nothing. But they cost me $11 to ship.
Yeah.
So it's like if I were to, that's why I don't sell those things, because if I were to sell them, I'd have to sell them for $20 to make $4 off of it.
Yeah.
And who the hell's going to pay $20 for a bourbon note rocks glass? Like if I could just sell them for $5, I would do that, but I'd lose money on the freaking shipping of it.
Yeah.
It's a crazy game, man.
Look how quick Bobby raised his hand. He's like, yeah, I'm 6,000 subscribers, so I can afford a
His
$20
testicle
rock
sack is now
glass.
so large, he has to wear a
mine
huge
was all
hoodie
like you.
upside down instead of trousers.
Yeah, right. We all
Tucked
make
in the sock.
YouTube, though. Let's not get that twisted. No matter who does this, we all make the same amount of money on YouTube.
No. Not retiring off YouTube.
We're all in the
Yeah,
hole.
look at it, Bobby.
Honestly, hats off to you guys that are still trying. I love the light in your eyes. Still, it makes me happy to see it.
It only
You
took
still
a
see
year
the
for
flicker of the
us to-
flame.
Yeah, I'm so old and jaded now. I don't even care.
It took me a year. My spirit's broken, and I'm just here for the fun and the bourbon.
That's it, man.
I hear you on that. I mean, as far as the money goes, like, yeah, you don't make a damn thing off of, the YouTube ads or whatever. But we definitely appreciate the Patreon folks who throw a little bit out there. And
Yeah, man.
like I said, it helps kind of justify this a little bit to my wife, That's really what you're contributing to when you subscribe to the Patreon.
Yes.
I might be the only guy that doesn't have a Patreon here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you should, because you've got 4,000 subscribers now. You're in the big
His
league.
testicle sack is now so large, he has to wear a huge hoodie upside down instead of trousers.
But I don't feel like I can offer anything extra than what I'm giving. So like you guys do a lot of things on Patreon.
Same here.
We all can use an extra couple inches. Anyway, I just don't feel like I have anything extra to offer when it comes to Patreon because, between my son having his sports and then me getting off late and then, also having to spend quality time with the wife, man, it is hard for me to do anything outside of YouTube. I try to put videos out every 3 to 4 days, but that's not always possible.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get that. Like, with us, it's more like we release the videos early. I think Greg handles the Patreon.
That'd be nice.
We meant to do more like Patreon only live streams, which we are definitely behind on. So I apologize to our Patreon supporters for that, which is not a great advertisement for it. But what, Bobby?
I need to apologize to all my Patreon members too. It's been a very slow first quarter, we'll say. But I say Myron might get more content to his Patreon members than I do. That's
right.
Yeah.
So what we do on our Patreon is like we'll release the videos a day early. So as soon as I text Greg here, which I should actually text him right now while we're on the air. So I usually do this earlier, but I kind of got sidetracked doing the live stream by myself tonight.
Yeah.
So you get the videos early, and then we do I do blending videos, and I try to do those every couple of weeks. So there's another one coming out either tomorrow or Friday where I put the wheel in, I blend bourbons off of the shelf. It's at least something different. But to be honest, like when I support people on Patreon, or like there's a couple of YouTube channels that are not whiskey related that I support, and like a news channel that I support that's like an independent news channel. Like even if I don't watch their bonus content, I just try to be supportive, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, you guys are putting a lot of effort in. I just send dick pics to all my Patreons, so I don't know.
Demonetized.
That wouldn't make me any money.
Okay, so here we go.
I heard the Cheeto comments earlier.
Tonight, here's what I'm going to say. I have a new tier based on Sean's comment on this. Okay. So, and you don't even have to be a Patreon supporter. As long as we have your email, which some of you we do, here's what we're going to do. Dick pics are $5. It's $10 not to get one.
There you go. Yeah, you have to pay not to get one. There you go.
$5 to get one, $10 to not get one.
If you're a free Patreon member, you're getting all of them. You're getting so many. Like you're just getting inundated.
No, that's the bonus of being a Patreon supporter is you're not going to get one. That's why you should become a Patreon supporter. Everyone else in the chat tonight's getting one.
Cheetos.
We've got all your phone numbers. It's happening.
Oh boy.
So let me ask you guys a question. Getting back to this is a great segue off of dick pics.
Yeah.
Getting back to when we were talking before about the awesome video that Troy and Laura put out about the recommending, you know, the kind of basic bourbons.
Also a great.
I've been meaning to ask this. Yeah.
Hey, Lauren.
Lauren will show up and just drive this right off a cliff and really get us demonetized.
Yeah, you know.
Oh yeah.
As soon as dick pics came up, she's itching to jump.
My favorite part about you guys' videos is when Lauren is saying something blatantly dirty and you have to just try to move on from it.
Yeah. So I'm getting notes of caramel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Don't think we don't notice that.
Oh yeah.
But no, let me ask you this, and
Brian.
smells like it was aged in booty cheeks.
There you go.
So, getting back to like recommending like the lower shelf budget bourbons or whatever, just this is more of like a recommending bourbons. And I'm asking you guys as people who have channels, but also everyone in the chat who is presumably a bourbon enthusiast. And if people in your life know that either you have a channel or you're a bourbon enthusiast, people may come to you and ask, hey, what would you recommend? I'm new to bourbon. What should I buy? Mm-hmm. Or I want to have a bourbon tasting with a couple of friends. What bottles should we include? And I'll start this out by giving you like my kind of perspective of like how I approach this. To me, and I want to see if you guys agree with this or not, the most important piece of information I can get from them is like, what do you normally drink, so I can figure out what kind of proof point they're at.
Yeah.
You know, because if you want me to recommend a great bourbon, I'll recommend Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. If you recommend that to somebody who's used to drinking 86 proof bourbon, they're never going to drink bourbon again.
Yeah.
You know, and so my perspective is to always find out their proof point that they're comfortable with and try to recommend a good bourbon that's in that proof point. Do you guys agree, disagree, or like how do you handle that?
Oh, for sure.
Let's go round robin. Let's go Brian, then Troy, Bobby, Sean, Myra.
So generally I do not get into proof points. Like I just assume if they're asking about a bourbon, I assume they've had some booze in their past. It could be, you know, Kamchatka vodka or whatever, but they've had some booze.
What the hell is Kamchatka vodka?
Oh my God, you've never? That's like the rail vodka at a lot of the
The
bars.
name is very suspect, but anyway, continue.
It is.
Yeah.
Very.
It's not. It's KAM. That's how it starts. So don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was something much different.
Not Kamchatka. No.
That's what she said.
But I will generally start them like when we did our very first video. It was like these are your training wheels. So I will go with like something like Old Forester 86 or maybe even like a a plain wild turkey, and I will ask them, because I don't generally like to start people there. I usually like to start people right around 100. So like I would initially go like Old Forester 100 or Wild Turkey 101, but I also want to make sure I don't like some people. I remember when we first started, I went on a trip to the Bourbon Trail with some friends, and we were very new bourbon drinkers. This was about 10 or 11 years ago. And I remember going to Wild Turkey, and they were like, "Oh, this is Wild Turkey 101." We were like, "Oh, what? I can't drink that." Like, it was like crazy.
That's man's whiskey.
Yes. It was crazy even thinking about drinking 101 proof. So I usually have brands that I tend towards to recommend to people. Proof wise, I guess I will kind of feel them out. I'm like, how hot do you like to go? Do you want to start real low? Do you know?
That's what she said.
I will tell you, probably my two go-tos when I recommend to somebody are Old Forester and Wild Turkey.
All right, Troy, what do you think?
So I usually start off by asking them how they're going to drink it, how they plan to drink it. Is it going to be in a cocktail, mixed drink? Are they going to try to drink it over ice? They're going to try to drink it neat.
Great question. That's I should have probably included that in my initial thing. I'm kind of assuming tasting it neat, but yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Like, how do you like to drink your whiskey?
Yeah.
And then if they say cocktail, you just walk away.
Yeah, you said anything, whatever you want.
We can't be friends.
Anything expensive for a cocktail or mixed drink. But if they want to start drinking things neat, I'll ask them, have you ever had an old fashioned? Because if they can drink an old fashioned, that's a good place to start. You just remove the sugar and the bitters, and then you're drinking whiskey on the rocks. And then you transition, lose the ice cube, drink real whiskey like you should, type of thing. Anyways, but yeah, I just ask them how they're going to drink it, and give them a path to transition to neat if that's their goal. And I typically will recommend something like, Laura's going to smack me if I don't say Jack Daniel's Bonded.
Is she in the room?
She's not, but I said her name, so she'll show up. It's like Beetlejuice, right?
say it 3 times, or say it 5 times in the mirror. She shows up behind you with a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Yeah, so like a Jack Daniel's Bonded, maybe like a Old Forester 100, something in that 100 proof range. I never tell people to drink Wild Turkey 101. I would tell them to drink Rare Breed or Russell's 10. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. Figure out what they want to do with it and give them a road to neat.
Real quick, I just got a text message from my sister. They're sitting here watching on spring break. They're watching the Bourbon Note live. So hello to my sister Jenny and my brother-in-law Kyle.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
I'm assuming my niece Elin is off with her friends. So, and my niece Amelia is down at college. So.
And they didn't tune out after your threat to your patrons?
No, apparently that's probably when my brother-in-law just really, it's like, okay, we're going to watch this until the end.
Yeah. Just got interesting.
So, Bobby, what do you have on this? Like, how do you recommend when people are beginners and they ask you, like, hey, you're into this whiskey thing, what do we do? Where do you start?
I kind of start with, do you drink whiskey at all now? I mean, that's the question. Do you drink whiskey? And if they say yes, well, what do you have? And if they answer that question, well, what do you like? You kind of, there's a few questions you ask and kind of narrow it down. And more often than not, someone gave them a bottle of Basil Hayden somewhere along the line. I'm like, well, let's stop that crap right now.
Yep.
It's not, it's an overpriced bottle. I'm just going to say it. It's not good. And I
knew Basil Hayden was going to make its way into this conversation. I was just waiting for it. By the way, Kyle Snyder, that's my brother-in-law right there. What's up, Kyle? Good to have you in the chat.
A smoking hot ginger. That's Ben.
Wow.
So I said her name, and I told her.
Oh, and then Laura is here.
Wait, we didn't say it 3 times, Laura.
She's in the house.
We'll switch.
You compared your wife to Beetlejuice, and she still showed up.
dirty RC bar in the house in there in chat. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Rick? Hey, buddy.
What's up, Dirty RC?
Rick is here.
Rick,
I just watched your video on the freezer door old fashioned. I'm definitely going to try that. So, cheers, brother. Good to see you in the chat.
Oh man, hey, if you're a praying person, keep this guy in your prayers, man. I don't know if he wants to say this, but he's in Florida. He's got 2 blood clots in his leg, and he's got embolisms, 1 in each lung. So he's just got out of the hospital, and he's getting ready to come home. So
Oh, damn, man.
Oh, damn.
pray for this guy.
Yeah.
You got it, Rick.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
But hey, see, I know he doesn't want me to dwell on that, so I'll get back to the sipping stuff. So I actually hosted a bourbon tasting just this last Friday. I think I put a short out on it, but it was for a fundraiser. So there was high, dollar value bourbons. It was Weller 12-year. Actually, I had a local sabbatical, some Joseph Magnus, some barrel proof E.H. Taylor, a regular E.H. Taylor, and it was that kind of tasting. But they weren't really versed in this stuff, so I take them I try to take them from lower proof to higher proof if they're not really into it or don't know where to start. If they're starting around 80 proof, I'm like, well, what have you had? If they say anything that's weeded, I'll try to keep them on the weeded trail to try to me it's a little bit softer to introduce them to it and maybe raise the proof that way. But if it's not, they say something else like if they say something like Jim Beam, I'm like, okay, let's try a low proof Knob Creek, if they like that stuff. If something is in their wheelhouse that they like, I try to keep them in that brand on that trail with maybe something a little more flavor that's not a bunch of proof higher yet, and see if I can get them on that neat level. And if it is kind of harsh for them, I'll say, okay, the flavors are there, but it's hot for you. Okay, take a couple of, maybe put a cube in it, or get 1 or 2 drops and drop it in there. And just do the 1 drop, taste it, swirl it, taste it, and then do 1 more drop because it can really change the whole profile of the whole thing. Really open it up, and it can kill the proof quite a bit, depending on how much you got in there. If it's 2 ounces or less. That's kind of the road I go down. It's a lot of questions leading into where to even start them. But I don't like to start them above 90 proof. Super new. That's it. That's my 2 cents. Uh-oh. We're frozen?
Oh, no. Ben, I think you're muted somehow. I see your lips moving, but no sound is happening.
Oh, yeah, I was muted because I was coughing. Sorry, I forgot about that. All right, Sean, what do you got?
Like, oh, shit, should I start pantomiming something?
I don't know sign language, so...
radio killer right here. There's no sound. We're killing this shit.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of summing up kind of what everyone else has said. I mean, first you got to figure out, as I said earlier, you got to figure out what their kind of whiskey journey, if at all, has been so far. If they're completely new, then you got to start low proof wise. And then if that's the case, especially if they're a friend, then usually I just say, come over to my house. And then we can get you sorted a lot easier than me giving you a whole list of bottles to go buy and trying it that way. Just come to my house. I got all of the budget bottles you could ever find, and then we can figure out what you like, and then we can go from there. Which I still think that's the best thing to do for a person that's new to whiskey. And again, you start them low. You don't, to Ben's point and others' points, don't start them with JD single barrel proof. That's going to blow them out. So then they'll really hate whiskey. So, and that's not the goal. And usually, if they know about whiskey at all, they're gonna want to taste the brands that they've heard of. So you get through the Buffalo Trace line, just blow through that crap and get that done with.
Yeah.
And then you can move on to real whiskey. And this is usually the bottle that turns people into whiskey fans. I've used this bottle with great success over and over again. It's low proof. It has a ton of flavor. And especially if you're coming off something like Blanton's or regular Buffalo Trace or E.H. Taylor, this tastes like 1,000 times more complex than that. Yeah. So it's like the next level in whiskey.
Yeah.
And so once you get them over, all the hype bottles that they thought they had to try, they're like, okay, get through all those. Now that's done. Now we can talk about real whiskey.
I agree with you, Sean, but I think I agree with you. Like when you go from something like Blanton's or a basic whiskey to Old Forester 1910, it's a night and day difference. Mm-hmm. But I also think that Old Forester 1910 is so different. I don't think it's representative of. Like, I wouldn't recommend that to somebody who wants to know what bourbon tastes like because it's so different.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is...
But it's also so good.
Here's something that's really good. Yeah. Not that this is middle-of-the-road bourbon, just that, okay, because a lot of times, especially, babe, he has my can. Anyway, the dog just walked off with my my beer can from... he pulled it out of the trash.
You need to train him to go get you another one.
Yeah, well, he pokes holes in it is the problem. Anyway, back to the conversation. So all I'm trying to say is that, your kind of baseline Buffalo Trace stuff that a lot of people are after is not real interesting, and so I don't think it's a great way to get people into whiskey. And so I usually just try and get that out of the way quickly, just have like a few little samples of that just so they can, scratch that itch kind of thing. And then you can move on to something that's a little more interesting. Not that, again, to your point, Ben, that's middle of the road bourbon. It's certainly not, but it is awesome. So, yeah.
All right, I like it. All right, Myron, what do you got?
I'm going to keep it simple, man. I normally recommend Maker's Mark, Elijah Craig, and then stepping up a little bit and proof to Knob Creek. I normally ask people, I say, hey, what are you coming off of? Because if you're coming off of cocktails, I don't want to recommend something too high. So I'll try to keep them at Maker's Mark, which is 90 proof. And then if they are already somewhat a bourbon drinker, I'll say, hey, well, you know what? Step your game up. Check out Elijah Craig. And then if that doesn't suit you, then try something that's a little higher in proof and go to Maker's Mark. Now, I was going to make a joke about something rhyming with the word shocker, but I can't remember what, because somebody said something over here that rhymed with that word. I was going to go into that. But anyway, I just don't recommend anything something super high.
All right, I like it. So coming full circle, since Laura didn't join us until partway through this conversation, I don't know, Laura, if you heard the initial question, but like when people come to you that they know that you're into whiskey and they're asking for a recommendation, like, hey, I want to do a bourbon tasting with my friends, or I just want to, hey, what's a good bourbon for me to start with, or a couple good ones to start with. The question was not necessarily what exact bourbon, but like, what do you consider when trying to make that recommendation?
Well, I've been asked a few times from people I work with about that, and
because you're a goddamn expert.
They don't even know she has a channel.
They do not need to know that either. But I usually ask them what they like and then kind of base it off of that. So like one person I work with drinks Knob Creek 9 all the time. And so I convinced him to try the 12-year and he tried a single barrel. And, I just kind of steer him in the direction that they already like, because then it's easier. And if they're completely new, I tell them to go to a bar and try different things, because it's hard to steer someone when they have no idea what they like at all. And we have some bars around here that have like really good selections, so then they can try several things, like a flight of stuff, and then they can see which ones they like the best.
So that kind of brings it full circle. We actually started this conversation talking about your most recent video, which was awesome, by the way, about recommending those bottom shelf bourbons. And that's usually where I start with people, is like, I'll recommend do like a Maker's or a Maker's 46 or something, like a different flavor profile weeder, a Brown-Forman product like a Woodford or an Old Forester, Elijah Craig small batch, and then maybe like an Evan Williams, because you're going to get general bourbons that all kind of have a different flavor profile. And then they can kind of start from there. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, because like I remember I had a friend who and usually I tend to overthink these things. I had a friend who said, hey, we want to do a bourbon tasting with a bunch of us, you know, see what this bourbon thing's all about, but we don't really know anything about it. Or I said, well, what's everybody's level of, you know, drinking it? And they're like, we don't know anything about it. We just want to get a couple of bourbons and taste them and see what they're like. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of think in my head, like, well, what would I say if I was there hosting this bourbon tasting? And the first thing I would say is take the idea of the bourbon being smooth and just get rid of that. Mm-hmm. Like, bourbon's not necessarily meant to be smooth. Like, people tend to drink whiskey in general and like they judge how good it is based on how smooth it is. And the further you get into it, you realize that like when it's smooth, typically it just means watered down and flavorless. Yeah. You know,
it's a bad goal.
Yep, exactly. Your whiskey should maybe kick you in the nuts a little bit or smack you in the face a little bit. It's whiskey, you know. It shouldn't. So.
Sean,
it should put up a fight a little bit.
Yeah.
Sean pays
Hang on a second.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of kick my ass, if I'm honest. That's kind of the goal. Yeah.
I think another thing that's been kind of a winner for me with people is like I'll set up a flight and kind of walk them up in proof, and then I always will give them also something finished, not a crazy finish, but like a double oaked or like the Maker's 46. It's a little sweeter and more palatable. And I've had
a great idea.
People who are like, oh yeah, and like for all of us here, to us we might drink those and be like, oh, it's a little too sweet for me or whatever. But for a new drinker, for them to taste something like that and be like, okay, this isn't just blowing up my palate or burning off my tongue, and it's not punching me in the face. This tastes like s'mores. This tastes like sitting around a campfire, and I think that's a nice way. I mean, that's how that's how my wife, I think became a more serious bourbon drinker is Woodford Double Oak, like got her on the path, and she still goes back to it. But now, I mean, she'll outproof me some nights when she has a pour because she goes hard in the paint, man.
Hey,
Speaking of going hard in the paint, look who is here in the chat. We've got Lauren in the house. Lauren, you have the link in our text message thread, so feel free to hop on here.
Complete the Bourbon 6, Lauren.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we really have come full circle here. We've got a whole Whiskey 6 thing.
An impromptu.
I said the wrong thing.
And I'm not considering Troy and Laura as special guests.
Yeah.
I'm just considering them part of the Whiskey 6 because that just feels right to me.
OGs.
That's right.
The video
the Whiskey Gang
lines were the bourbon and rye. There was like a gift pack of 375s of a Angel's Envy bourbon and Angel's Envy rye. If people are just getting into it, those are sweet enough that can get people. They're nice gateways. For the bourbon and the rye, they're very similar. And they're sweet. So I think that if it's not harsh and high proof, that kind of helps people on the road to get in.
Yep, absolutely.
And they're smaller bottles too.
So at some point here, I'm going to have to hop off here and get some dinner because I have not eaten and I've been drinking barrel-proof bourbon tonight.
Hell yes.
But just getting into it, again, I just want to congratulate Bobby on 6,000 subs, Myron on 4,000 subs. That is absolutely awesome.
Nice job.
Bravo, fellas.
Myron! No! Bad axe, Myron.
5 axes. I love it.
Nice.
So let's just go around kind of how we do on the Whiskey 6 when we do this. By the way, when is our next Whiskey 6? Is April 20
I think
something?
the 24th, maybe. I'll look.
Okay.
You can go around to somebody else and come back to me, and I'll look when our next one is.
Okay, and Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans, Steven will be on for that. That's awesome.
Yes. Okay, I have it. It is April 24th. 9 p.m. on the Whiskey 6 channel again, and Steven from Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans is our guest.
Rick from Dirty RC Bar says, I'm headed out like a baby. Y'all have a great night.
Take care.
Well,
Rick. Better, brother.
Rick, get feeling better, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Rick, for sure. Loving your content, by the way. So we still have 20 people left in the chat, so just so I can throw this out here to the 20 people that remain, a little bit of housekeeping. There will be no live streams from the Bourbon Note for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're going to be radio silence for 2 weeks. So, but then we'll come back strong.
That's what she said.
And Greg should be back at that point. He's had Ebola for the last 3 weeks, so it's going to be 2 weeks of downtime, and then we'll come back. We'll get a live stream going, and then a week after that should be the Whiskey 6. So look forward to that. But yeah, no live stream from us for a couple of weeks. But yeah, anyway, let's go round robin. Brian,
Yes.
what do you got coming up on the channel?
Oh, well, we're actually going to be doing a few videos with my wife, the producer, because Lauren is
Is that on the OnlyFans channel, Brian? That sounded weird.
Oh my!
I should
Just the way you went into
That's
that.
what she
I-
said.
okay,
That Patreon only kind of content right there.
Still not OnlyFans, but I will be doing some videos with my wife because Lauren is going away to London on a school trip. So she's gone for a little bit. So we need content. So my wife's going to fill in for a few. So in the next week or so, you'll see her popping up at this table.
Well, that's awesome. Looking forward to seeing Marie Ann, the producer, actually doing some maybe some reviews and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah. And we might do it. We might do a live stream next week. We'll see. We haven't decided what we're doing, but yeah. So, and Lauren, I hope if you're still listening, I hope you feel better. She's been sick as a dog, and she is getting ready to go away. And so I hope you're feeling better. And
hey, it's best to just be sick the week before vacation, because then you know you're kind of bulletproof when you actually go on vacation, right? Like you've already had it, it's done. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So that's it. Just kind of regular. We're going to try to keep putting out regular content in Lauren's absence, and then she'll be back in a few weeks.
All right, cool. Troy, Laura, what do you guys got coming up?
We got our Friday video. It's going to be a fun one. We did a bourbon hunt challenge kind of thing where we each took a specific amount of money out to find a bottle and came home and blind tasted them and scored them to see who was the winner. And then Saturday night's our live stream. We have a blind battle with Sean from Echoes and Eternity Bourbon, where we sent each other samples. We got an allocated bottle, a shelf staple bottle, and a homemade blend, and we got to try to pick out what's what.
Oh, wow.
And Matt from
Nice, that'll be awesome.
With us. Yeah, Matt from Whiskey Wisdom will be on.
You said Matt Porter?
Referee.
Oh, Matt from Whiskey Wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then next Wednesday, I believe we are on with Hello Again Whiskey Friends on their live stream.
Right on.
That's pretty much
I'm
everything.
sorry, I was on the live stream.
Nice, that's awesome. That sounds like fun. Bobby, what do you got coming up?
Well, I got these two new series that a genius wife has invented. What are you sipping on?
Well, it was just an impromptu live. His partner wasn't on, so he asked all of us to come on.
Those seem to be blown up, so I'm going to continue those. They're like 15 seconds each. So I'm like, okay, they seem to get thousands of views. I guess I'd be an idiot to not keep doing that. But
yeah, I've been loving those actually. Those are, hey, Bad Axe, what are you sipping on, or what are you buying? Yeah, those are really cool.
It's awesome, and it's so frustrating. We know we've had this conversation. So frustrating at the same time. All the stuff you put a lot of actual effort into doesn't get crap. But this bull crap, what are you sipping on? Hey, man, what you doing? It freaking blows up because you got the whatever generation is on now that can't look at something for more than 5 seconds. He's like, oh yeah. But if that helps them get to my challenge, see what I'm actually doing, I'm biting right now. So I'm going to actually, as I'm saying, right after we're done, I've got it all set up to. I'm going to live stream right after this. Just whoever wants to jump on, I'm going to continue.
Oh, nice.
So Mrs. Bad Axe just went to go work out, so I got some free time.
Nice.
So there's that, and. I want to plan it probably about a month out to do a local burn foundation fundraiser. So I'm going to be reaching out to a bunch of people to see how to do that, because there will be giveaways. Nancy Fraley's contacting me. We're going to she wants to be involved in it. So Burn Foundation around where I work that we donate to all the time. But obviously I'll need help with that because I can't be putting stuff on a wheel and doing all that stuff. Most of the time these things get out of hand and they blow up because everyone wants to join in. And I hope that's the case. But I'll need some logistical help with people putting names on wheels and donating stuff and all that stuff. I mean,
Sure.
Sean knows what it's like when Nancy, especially when Nancy gets involved. It's crazy, and which is good. Money for the burn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kids, it's kids that have been burned. Anyone that's been burned in a fire. Cool. You know, it kind of helps them with their recovery and sends them to burn camps, and that's anyway. I'll have more to come on that.
That's what's up, Bobby.
That's what she said.
Anyway, that's what I got coming, and maybe hopefully some regular videos. The next video of my Texas trip will come out in the next couple of days too.
Nice.
All right, cool. Sean, what do you got?
Well, first off, congrats to both Bobby and Myra. Again, hats off to you guys, keeping the dream alive.
We're bringing you with us. We're bringing you with us, man.
No, you're not. I'm fighting it all the way, man.
Jay, you're gonna be there with us. You helped to this point, man.
I mean, like, I love this community, and that's it. I'm done with the content. But this Friday is the 3-year anniversary, and I just looked. So between my 2nd year anniversary and my 3rd year, I've gained 400 subs because I just quit trying.
Yeah, but you're also running 2 channels. You've got 2 channels that are north of 1,000.
And I'm having more fun on the channel that's not monetized than my monetized channel. But anyway.
Well, right, but you probably have as many subscribers as we do between the 2 channels, and you've started a channel and then started a whole different channel and had to build that one back up. And your channel is never going to be monetized because you're always playing copyrighted shit on it, so which is what makes it fun.
It's all just numbers that don't matter, people. That's all. But anyway, that said, we're gonna have a blast Friday. Send out some samples to some folks, and we're all gonna have them all on and have some drinks together, and it should be a good time. Kind of.
Now, is that going to be on Whiskey Wars or Mash and Metal?
We'll be on Whiskey Wars this Friday. Yeah, Whiskey Wars 3-year anniversary.
Okay, cool.
Friday. It was actually the actual anniversary was the 17th, but we had some music news to attend to last week. So, yeah.
Our anniversary was actually on the 24th. Or 25th. So Bobby's birthday is our channel anniversary. And Bobby's birthday is actually my best friend's birthday as well. So
man.
Yeah,
that's an easy one to remember. And your wife's birthday is the day before mine. So I am definitely, I've got my finger on the pulse of all things birthdays and anniversaries between me and Bobby here. So
fun fact, my channel anniversary, my actual anniversary with my wife, and St. Patrick's Day is all the same day. Didn't plan any of those things that way, just that's how life works, so whatever.
It's a bold move to launch your channel on your anniversary, so kudos to you for that.
Well, I mean, I had the video scheduled. I wasn't sitting down that day and hey, that's what I'm going to do. Anyway.
All right, cool. Well, hopefully we'll be able to join you on Friday. So that's on Whiskey Wars. Myron, what do you got?
Actually, I don't know, Ben. I really don't. I've got 10 videos probably shot and none of them edited. So whatever I release, I release. I'm trying to keep it consistent with the whole 4,000 thing going on, but I might have to just release some regular shelf life videos. I don't know. So once I sit down and look at the footage I have, and I think, I choose what will be the best content, I'll probably just put that out.
Cool. All right, sounds good, man. Well, also, so on the bourbon note, cheers. Aiden is in the house, fellow Minnesotan. Hello, Aiden. So on the bourbon note, again, we're going to be off from live streaming for the next 2 weeks, but we are going to be putting content out. So next week, we'll do our regular Monday and Thursday releases. It's going to be Bullet Barrel Strength and the backbone pick from Storytime Distillery, the one that you had to go on a scavenger hunt to get. Did anybody get that bottle?
No.
Spoiler alert, it's amazing. It's another great pick from from Storytime. And then the following week, we're going to do 3 videos that week, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's going to be the Jim Beam Harvest Collection week. Those 3 bottles that I got that I showed you guys in the bottle haul and a live stream. They're all 3 11-year age-stated bottles from Jim Beam. One's a Weeder, one's a brown rice mash bill, and one's a rolled oat mash bill. So they're pretty interesting, so those will be fun. And then after that, we'll be back to the regular content, and if everything goes well, there will be a bottle of Jack Daniel's Sweet and Oaky and whatever, something in spicy headed Troy and Laura's way, because Troy, you had requested if I see those bottles in the duty free when I'm on vacation to send a couple your way, and I will definitely do that. Spoiler alert, the rye is amazing, and why Jack Daniel's doesn't release that as a normal release is beyond me, because it's honestly one of my favorite whiskeys on my shelf right now. So I'm looking to get a couple backup bottles, but I will spare some suitcase space for you guys, since Troy requested a bottle of each, so we'll try to get that done.
Awesome.
Well, good.
That was a thing.
All right, folks. Well, we're gonna end this because I have. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
If I may, I know this
Yeah,
is not
absolutely.
how we usually workshop ideas, but just an idea. I'm going to throw it out there. Maybe the chat can just briefly react to this thought. Brands that we're done with as a topic for the next Whiskey 6.
Ooh, I like that.
Excellent.
Yep.
I like that. Okay.
Start doing your research, folks.
Yeah.
I like it.
Just a little idea. thrown
Yeah,
out
yeah, I
there.
dig that. That's a good concept for sure. I'll start thinking about that because that's going to be a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean brands like a specific line like Evan Williams, or the brand Heaven Hill, the brand behind Evan Williams, or just anything?
Whatever you want to go with.
Okay.
Okay, for sure.
Cool.
All right. Well, look forward to that on the next Whiskey 6. And by the way, if you're in the chat and you're not subscribed to the Whiskey 6, go check out @the Whiskey 6. And I do think I have real quick an overlay here. If I
Just drop the link to the Whiskey 6.
Okay, yeah. Bobby dropped the link in the chat. Go give it a sub. now.
Okay.
Don't forget, Bobby's about to go live.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby's about to go live.
There we go.
Here you go.
@the Whiskey 6. Yeah, and let's get out of here so Bobby can hop on his live stream. Bobby, I'll be watching your live stream while I'm getting something to eat and waiting for my wife to come home. So, hey, thank you guys all very, very much for showing up tonight. Yeah, it was going to get weird because I was by myself for a while, and I'm not used to doing that.
That's what she said.
So it was good to have you guys on to kind of help carry this along. So, and thank you very, very much to everybody in the chat. Please like, comment, and subscribe to all these channels on the screen and all the ones in the chat here. So, thanks everybody. Have a great night.
Cheers, everyone.